One of the factors that I look at when I'm looking to jump into a board gaming system or acquire a new title is replayability. How many different ways can I explore this board game, either through missions, through different characters, through expansions, through number of players? With those combinations, is it going to give me a lot of different things to try? And of course, this factor with other factors is going to either tip it in the direction of, wow, this is a title I want to acquire and play, or maybe I'll revisit it and see what's out there. So within that framework, HeroQuest. It's no secret that I'm a big fan of HeroQuest. Naturally, if you like a dungeon crawler, if you like miniatures, if you like 3D furniture, we've got that checklist. You ask about replayability, because one of the things behind HeroQuest is the idea that the dungeons are fixed. You've got the quest book, and the monsters spawn in the same places. Treasure drops in the same places if it's named treasure. You've got that progression. So once you play through an adventure, pass or fail, you kind of know what's going on. And unless you die early on in the first room or two and you haven't really penetrated the rest of the dungeon. But in terms of replayability, yes, you have different heroes, different characters that you can play, but the missions are set. So how does this work from the perspective of the HeroQuest system? This is a game system. And what's interesting here is one of the criticisms that I hear is replayability just isn't there. You get excited, you love a dungeon crawler, you make your way through the main quest. That's kind of it. Now, if I'm playing the Overlord, if I'm playing the GM, the Game Master, I can play through those quests again with a new group of heroes, a new group of players. But if I've played through the adventure once as a player, yes, I usually play the wizard if given the choice. I could play them through again as the barbarian. I'm going to know where to go and what's going to happen. It is a different experience, but not an entirely different experience. So it has the illusion that replayability is low. And if we're ranking this idea of importance, 1, 2, 3, 4, do I pick up this title or not? One might say, hey, replayability is really low. Now, here's how I'm going to counter this in 3 ways. Yes, you play through a mission. You've played through that mission. There are numerous expansions to the game. Now we get into some interesting territory, because if you're like me, that's a completionist with poor impulse control. Expansions, no problem. Eventually, I'm going to get into them. I'm going to pick them all up. We've got multiple expansions to play. As of right now, posting this vlog, we've got the core set, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 expansions that add new enemies, new encounters, new bosses, complete new quests, a complete new quest book. Plus the core, that's 8 in total as of right now, and of course more are coming out. Are you ever going to make it through all 8 quests? That's going to take a while. That's going to give you a long time. And unless you have a perfect memory, when you circle back around to play again, are you going to remember them all? But moving beyond that, HeroQuest, it's a game system in that you can begin to write your own quests. Now, some of us, if I sidebar for a moment to RPGs, role-playing games, some of us love playing in role-playing games. Some of us love running role-playing games, running that D&D adventure or that RPG. You can take ones off the shelf and play. You can create your own adventure. You can create your own campaign. HeroQuest is essentially a toolkit. You can write your own dungeons. So from that perspective alone, if you want to come up with new quests, they're readily available. In terms of that, just from my own experience, I've written a few quests by myself that I've played. Most of them are smaller, kind of one-shot quests where you go in, get some loot, fight a boss, and have some interesting layouts. But I have 2 of my favorite D&D adventures, old school D&D adventures. The one of them is Quest for the Heartstone. And no spoilers right there. I took that adventure and I essentially mapped it, not 1-to-1, but close enough. I mapped it to HeroQuest, where the different elements of the Quest for the Heartstone dungeon, once you make it there, you're now ready in that moment where the different levels of that dungeon are different parts of the HeroQuest dungeon. So I've been able to take the HeroQuest game system and map it to an RPG adventure. It's pretty close. So there's this idea, if you have a great idea, you could easily write your own quests. That's going to bump it up even more. But what if you want to play them? It's one thing to write them. What if you want to play them? For me, the biggest advantage that HeroQuest has, say over other dungeon-based systems like Descent, and I love Descent, regularly play it, is the idea that HeroQuest, it was the first. It's been around so long. I mean, like 30 years, 25 years, something crazy like that. On BGG, HeroQuest forums, and other places, there are legions of dedicated fans that have created really amazing quality quests and adventures. A lot of thought, a lot of hours went into it. These are all available to download. You could easily download 10, 20, 30 quests, have them ready to go, have them ready to play, because this system has been established for so long. I mean, we've got the reprint, 2 years ago at this point? 3 years ago? Something like that. 4 years ago? But HeroQuest in itself and its incarnation has been around so long, the fan community has been producing stuff. So once we kind of take this idea of, look, we've got all the main quests and official expansions, you've got a toolkit to make your own stuff, and then we've got the fan content, I don't think you'll ever run out of adventures to play. I think HeroQuest, the board and the tokens and the dice will wear out before we run out of HeroQuest adventures. So from that perspective, on the surface, I answer and say, hey, it doesn't look like there's much replayability here. But in terms of the toolkit and everything from that point forward, there is a lot more. So surprisingly, in a roundabout way, when we talk about replayability in board games, and I pushed up this question to the Board Game Archive, asking and exploring how important is replayability, HeroQuest seems like low replayability, but actually it has high replayability just in a different way.